Welcome to today's session. Really appreciate you taking the time to join me today. In this webinar, we're going to be exploring how ourselves, how other organisations have really transformed their decision making using Power BI. So starting from situations that might sound a little bit familiar, such as disconnected data or perhaps inconsistent reporting, potentially a lack of visibility that you might have across the departments, across the organisation. So we'll look at the full journey. We'll go from initial challenges. We'll go through the goals that will look to be set out and achieved through using Power BI, and certainly the results that they achieve. So think of this as rather as that journey. It's not going to be a product demo, if you like, because this is really around making it resonate with yourselves and actually, showing the real world outcomes from the initial challenges. So we'll get started by looking at the challenges that were faced. So looking at some of the challenges, certainly for ourselves here at Valto, there was certainly a time where we were flying blind. We had visibility of the absolute basics, but we were very limited to actually any meaningful insight. So, and this is where most organizations begin, of course. They begin here, and as you'll see on the screen, we faced many of the typical pain points that we tend to see now when we're speaking with organizations who are looking into Power BI and the benefits of it. So some of these challenges may include weekly reports that are being compiled manually, thinking about the time that goes into collecting the information from these different systems. So I used to spend a few hours maybe pulling data from the CRM and from our project management tool, and then even more time combining that all in Excel just to make sure that I was getting the data that I needed. Where we didn't have that data internally as well, perhaps we were having to trust outside of reports, so reports from suppliers or reports from other vendors that we typically speak with. There's no easy way for us to validate that information. You do have to take it with a kind of pinch of salt. You have to trust that information that you're receiving, because it's not something that you can vet yourselves as well. I've touched on it already, but data living in different silos. So with regards to the different systems that I've mentioned already, so marketing, sales, operations, they'll all have their own individual spreadsheets, or they'll all have their own individual systems, and they're pulling data from them, and nothing is giving you that through story. Nothing is telling you, the journey of that data, and the journey of the challenges more specifically, and how perhaps one area is impacting another area. This led to different teams operating off completely different versions of the truth as well. So really important just to make sure that those issues are addressed and we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. It can often mean that decision making is slow, and it's based on outdated information. I've already mentioned how long some of the reports used to take to compile if you're dragging them together in Excel. All of that time compiling all of that information might take over a week, at which point by the time you actually come to look at that data and you pass it on, it's already outdated and you're already on the back foot, because you're then suddenly being a little bit more reactive than you are proactive. And that real-time visibility can certainly be certainly be an issue, and can hinder some informed business decisions. There's obviously, of course, high risk of human error, unless you're an Excel expert. When you're combining all of this information, you can certainly see how some of the data might be susceptible to human error and mistakes. We're all guilty of that. So manual processes means that single mistake could throw everything off. So it's certainly worth considering. And with regards to forecasting as well, so not just reports with regards to sales or marketing, but also perhaps internal resource in the business. If you're thinking around allocating those resources, deciding on those reports when you should be hiring. If you don't have visibility of that, you could be hiring at the wrong time, due to poor forecasting and resource planning as well. So it can. All of these can hold you back from making confident decisions, and that's where Power BI really comes into its own, and can look to address some of these challenges. But I'm sure some of them will resonate with yourselves who have joined today's session. I'm sure you'll be thinking about some of the points there, and some of them will resonate. So those are the typical challenges that we tend to see within Power BI. So that's where most businesses tend to start: fragmented data, poor reporting, no single version of the truth. Next, we'll look at the goals that you can set to change all of this using Power BI. So now we'll think of the goals that you should be considering when looking to set up Power BI. It's really important that you take time just to define these, make sure you're getting exactly what you want from your different data sources, how you want to present that, and just start thinking about how that data is best presented back to you. But more importantly, at a high level, look at the issues that you're trying to. For us, it was really important that we wanted to track how our marketing activity was going, and doing that certainly at a more accurate level. So, being able to look at the channels that are feeding the business with leads, with opportunities, and which of them are performing really well, which of them aren't. You want to then understand how that then moves on to the next stage, which is very much looking at the sales performance. So great, once we've got those leads and opportunities in, how are they then converting? You know, is it affected by an individual team member? Is it affected by actually what the inquiry is about in the first place? Is it, you know, looking at our processes? Is there a way that we can tweak and refine and make sure that we're doing the right things here internally in the business? Um, that, of course, then looks at a more granular level. You're looking at the actual team skills. You're looking at that individual capability to be able to perform that role. Can the data give you insights into how they can up their game and improve their performance and therefore hit targets, hit KPIs? Looking at resource allocation within the business. So looking at timesheets against our projects, mapping out things such as billable hours against expected hours. Is there a profit margin against that particular metric there in terms of those hours? But then taking a step back, you know, going down that granular insight is fantastic, but actually thinking about the different levels of people within the business and who wants to see what. Leadership are obviously really concerned with seeing that high level overview to be able to see how the different areas of the business are performing at that high level with the ability to dig a bit deeper into that data. So a single unified dashboard is something that we certainly set out as a goal for our Power BI work. You then, of course, have that ability to be able to empower teams with insights rather than just presenting them with the data. You know, you're able to go back and look at time, see how these metrics, see how the things that you want to report on are performing over a certain period of time, whether it's the last quarter, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. You want to be able to give a story and give that journey through the data so that you can make better decisions. And with that, of course, you want to be confident in making those decisions as well. And Power BI just means that you're able to go ahead and do that a lot faster than what you usually would be able to. So with your goals defined, let's move on to how we delivered them using Power BI. Let's look at some demonstration systems and reports that we have and uncover some of the insights that they're telling us and how we can go about shaping some of that data to inform you for better business decisions. Okay, great. So on the screen right now, we're going to go through a few different examples within Power BI to really show you a series of dashboards that give clarity across different business areas. So we'll look through some of these. Of course, it's all example data within here, but it gives you an idea of how Power BI can certainly come into its own and how you can look to go ahead to report on the data that perhaps you're interested in. So we're very much going to start off with the kind of sales and marketing side of things. And what we see in front of us here is a bit of a summary for the month. Again, you can slice your data here with different filters. So you see I've got a date slicer. I'm able to slice by lead source, lead interest, whether we define that particular lead as an MQL or an SQL, business unit and application. So yeah, looking across the different departments that we have to see where those leads might filter through and be relevant to that particular team. So straight away, a different series of example charts we have here. Of course, we've got a simple bar chart by interest over at the top right-hand corner, showing us the majority of leads that are coming through and what these leads are interested in. Is it licenses or power apps or controlled documents? Great, these three here, particularly over the time range that we've got selected, seem to be more popular. Is it because there's campaigns going on against those? Is it because that is just the flavour of the month? Is it an update externally from the business? Are Microsoft pushing these kind of initiatives? Is outsider influences impacting some of this? We can then see obviously a table here with a series of numbers breaking down some of the key information that we need, whether it's leads, sales, our cost, or the quality of those leads coming through. We can then see on the pie chart here, we've got disqualified leads, but also why. So is it because we can't contact them? Is it something that we've said, no, no, thank you, it's not for us? Are they only exploratory? Have they changed their mind? Is it a change in priorities? Have we lost out to a competitor? So you can start to get this insight and drill through into the individual leads as a result of the data here. And then finally, in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got, again, another bar chart here showing leads, but by company size this time, whether they've been validated or they've been disqualified. It gives you a sense of the demographic of your client base, certainly those that are making incoming inquiries within the organization. So a really quick summary. As I say, you can use these filters here to filter through any of the information that you want to, and it will update the figures that you see in front of you here. And from that marketing perspective, we wanted to build a dashboard that would track how our lead interest, lead sources, our ROI are all performing. And that's certainly what this next dashboard does here. So again, you can look to chop the data as you want to. So if I go to maybe 2024, if I look from the 1st of January to 2024, and then we'll go ahead and yeah, we'll keep that as it is. So from January 2024 until October 2024. That's where we've got our example data here. So we can see now the leads that are coming through. So total number of leads. So in terms of that feedback directly to marketing, they're able to see, okay, well, great. Why is it peaking in these particular months? Why is it dipping, towards that second half of the month? There's a real trend here. And again, it's that insight and the questions that come out of the data that I always find interesting. Always asking why is really a big part of looking at the data that you have in front of you. But absolutely, we can see, okay, in terms of that lead interest, SharePoint is at the top here in this pie chart. So 288 of all the leads that came through in that time looked like they were requesting information on SharePoint. Great. So if I wanted more information on that, I can change my lead interest here to look at SharePoint, and now we can start to see how that trends across the business and certainly across the total leads. We can see actually it very much mirrors what we saw for all of the leads combined together. Certainly a better performance at that early half of the year, with it tailing off towards the latter half of the year. So again, why is it doing that? Do we need to start looking into our campaigns that we're running? How are they performing? How are they converting? More importantly, down here we've got a quality system. So what are the quality of these leads coming through? Again, we can see actually it's declining. So is that a reason for the dip in the total number of leads? Not only is the total number of leads coming through going down, but also the quality of them is slowly declining over time as well there. So it's all data insights that you're able to actually drive performance in the right area. Okay, so straight away I know, okay, we need to get these back up to a level that they once were. How do we do that? Do we start running another campaign? Should we start looking, elsewhere? Lead source in the top right hand corner. So where are these leads actually coming from? With regards to SharePoint, we've filtered everything here by SharePoint now, which is fantastic. So where are we getting these leads from? And hovering over any of these points within the Power BI dashboard just gives you that insight for that particular month. So we can see in May 2024, actually looks like the majority of the leads here that were generated for SharePoint were coming through SEO. So from organic Google searches, people finding our information on our website and really drilling into that SharePoint, that interest of SharePoint. So if SEO is performing well, we can then start to apply that as a lead source. So we can drill into that as well. So specifically looking at SEO, okay, it looks like that's also going down for SharePoint as well. But now you can see how you can start to chop and change the data. So with regards to Power Apps, if I was to remove SharePoint and look at Power Apps, it's a totally different pattern. Yes, less overall, but actually it's peaking and it's troughing and it's peaking again until we get to October here at the end. So really important just to drill down into that data and start to look at the reasons for potentially why some of these leads aren't coming through, why they're being disqualified in the first place. Why is it we can't contact them? That's a large percentage of the bucket here. Are we drilling into that information? What is the reason for that? Are we not quick enough? And you can see how that starts to lend itself towards thinking around your processes as well. Is that something that we need to address within the team? Are we slow to respond? And pieces like that. So all of this data and this information can drive that insight for you, and hopefully the screens and the graphs on this dashboard here give you a good insight into the various different charts that you have available. So there we go, and obviously you can remove those filters really nice and easily, and you can take those off, and it just gives you a sense of what these dashboards look like as you're updating them live and on the go as well. Um, you can see there's a drop down here for staff, so I'm able to go ahead and select from anybody in the list here. I could look at myself as an example, and I can see specific to me the number of leads that I'm picking up. And again, it's telling the same story in terms of the total leads that we saw a bit of a drop off compared to that first half of the year. Disqualified reasons, lead interest, the quality of the leads that are coming through, where they're coming from in terms of that lead source as well, and how I'm referencing those. Is it from our existing account? SEO seems to be doing well. Partners are doing quite well here too. So it really does give you that insight into everything to do with the inbound leads, where they're coming from, and how we're actioning them too. We can then also look at the sales summary. So again, really similar to what we've just seen, but of course we're now looking at actual kind of monetary figures, monetary value against some of the information here that we're able to pull through. So we can see sales over time, and we're able to go ahead and track that. Of course, just example data here. We can even map that against the total number of leads that we're receiving too. So you can see total leads and total sales by year and month. So straight away I can see, is there a correlation here? The more leads we get, do we get more sales? You would certainly hope so. We can then see sales by value and count. Over the time period that we've got selected here, how much is each individual lead source actually contributing towards the business? And really insightful to see, okay, well, our webinars not doing too much. So absolutely, is that an area of focus that we need to start looking at and improving and asking why? And that's really the key theme throughout this. Why is the data telling us this? How can I drill into it? What are the admin and the tasks that I can do around drilling into that data to understand it a little bit further? And the same applies to lead interest. Where should we focus our efforts? SharePoint, Power Apps, file migrations seem to be performing really, really well. We should focus our efforts on here. Make sure that they're running as they should, but also the other end of the spectrum is, well, actually, what isn't performing very well? What hasn't brought in revenue? Should we look to bolster these areas? Why is it going wrong? Again, is it people? Is it process? And you can start to look at the information that you're getting within here. And then we've got some salesperson specific information that we can see. So, with regards to team performance, you can certainly go ahead and look at how they're performing, see the split of the sales as well, which is really, really useful. And it gives you that idea in terms of what you're looking for over a certain amount of time too. Brill. Yearly comparisons. So again, really, really important for any team to be comparing how they're performing year on year. And the really simple line graphs that we have here give you the ability to do that. So again, we can see the amount of leads coming in. We've got our key on the right-hand side comparing the different years that we've got on here too. So I'm able to go ahead and see the trend from 2024 to 2023 and see how that is comparing as well. So 2024, really, really good. Certainly compared to the first half of the year. Then, of course, it meets in the middle around about August time, and then actually it looks like 2023 starts to perform a bit better than what it is currently doing back in 2024. So, again, gives you that insight. Why? Always be asking why about the data, and it will really help you drive insight into the business there. We can also see we've got combined quality for the leads, different scores for them. We've got total sales value that we can see here across the various different months year on year, but also the conversion rate of the leads that are being qualified by the team, and we can see that year on year as well. So again, you've got all your filters across the top here. You can really narrow down and look to slice that data and drill down into a specific demographic that you're interested in. I appreciate here we've looked at a lot of kind of marketing and sales pieces with regards to lead source, lead interest, revenue, pieces like that. But really, really important to actually go ahead and make sure you're just taking stock of some of the other demographics that are important to you as well, whether that is looking at timesheets and looking more at operations and how you can get the most out of that as well. And speaking of timesheets, the report that I have on the screen here really does allow you to drill into timesheets across, well, any range of dates really. You can go back as far as you want to, so long as you're reporting on it. But yeah, I'm able to go ahead and look at a particular day, and based on perhaps an application that you've got in place, whether it is native to Microsoft, if it's something, say, like a Dynamics 365, or if you're using third-party software, you can still pull data from those particular sources. And that's one of the benefits of Power BI. You're really able to go ahead and plug into any of your data sources, drag that information down just to make sure that you're getting the data that you want. And then, of course, interpret it and present it in a way that is meaningful to you. So with regards to the timesheets here, great. I want a quick overview just to see on a particular day how people look to be spending their time. And the chart right at the top here gives me a good insight into a particular team. And this, we're looking at the development team here as an example, but you can slice this across your various different departments that you might have. So we've picked a date, we've picked a department. You can narrow down to a specific employee if you want to, but we can see here employees across the bottom, and then we can see the hours that are being spent, but where they're being spent. Are they doing project work? Are they doing support work? Are they acting as a lead of their particular area and providing support to others? Are they spending time doing personal development? So straight away we're able to go ahead and look at where some disparities might be. Should we look to actually rebalance the split of time depending on our incoming projects, depending on the incoming needs of the business, looking at how time is being maximized in terms of hours, so 7.5 hours. Is that right for a working day? Should it be less? Should it be more? And being able to really kind of drill into that. Again, you can select on an individual, and it will kind of pull up their information, highlight that for you, so all good there. But over on the right hand side, you get an idea of actually, well, who submitted their timesheet and who hasn't. Anybody with that tick next to them certainly has done. Anybody with that red circle hasn't. Perhaps you've got built-in reminders or other workflows in place asking them to go ahead and do so, just to make sure you're collecting this information over time. And then you can certainly go ahead and look at the individual line items here to see exactly what the tasks were during those particular times. So whether these people are updating this on the fly as they go throughout the day, whether they update it at the end of the day, you've got that information and you're able to drill down into where people are spending that time. So I made reference earlier to essentially a dashboard for the leadership to be able to go ahead and basically get a picture of the organization across a series of different reports and different demographics that the business will be interested in. And that can start all the way, from the individual leads coming into the business, all the way through to actually the gross profit being made per lead, the projects that are being won, our average order values, and other demographics that you might be interested in. So at a glance straight away, this report really does break down the individual months or certainly potential financial years with regards to things like revenue, with regards to things like leads, and you can almost across the columns here at the bottom start to work out that journey. So leads that we had in, how many of those did we verify? Therefore, what's the percentage of the conversion? How many of those were qualified? How many of those, how were they then converted? How many of them did we win? What's our win conversion? How many went into workshops? And you get the idea. You're essentially going down the funnel as you look at something like this. So it's pulling all of that data together to show business performance at a glance. And that's what's really important here with regards to a dashboard like this. You want to be able to go ahead and see, the different areas from a very high level that might need tweaking and might need improvements. And hopefully you can see that through some of the reports that we've been through so far. So managing resource and people and assessing where to plug them into various projects within the business can be challenging. However, you can use Power BI to generate reports that look a little bit something like this. So across the top, we have the names of the development team, and down the side, the different technical skills that we want to track. Each individual is then rated against each skill from poor through to excellent. And this could be gathered through a combination of self-assessment, through a combination of peer assessment, but essentially you eventually will agree on a particular score. It means that we can make informed decisions really quickly at a glance, so we can quickly identify the best fit developers for specific projects that have specific requirements. And this is based on real data against their strengths and their weaknesses. So from a personal development perspective, it also means that I can quickly look at areas to focus on training across the team. So we've got this large section of red almost towards the bottom here. Straight away, that indicates to me that, yeah, we need to put a bit of effort in to make sure that we're closing that gap across the entire team from from having that particular strength to just a couple of individuals within the department, but also, bridging that gap so that the rest of the team are able to kind of play catch up there. So it means we always have one eye of where we should be keeping our progress. with regards to the, team training, but also how they should plug into the projects that we get sign off and we work on as well. So again, really, really insightful information. This obviously plugs into more of a personal development piece here as well. Not everything, as we've seen so far, has to be with regards to leads or revenue, pieces like that. Of course, I'm biased as a sales leader, but where it looks at skills across the organization, Power BI can certainly call on data that you've gathered and collected, present that in a way that potentially gives you that insight as to an individual's skills, but also potentially looking at where they fit in, and certainly where they should be plugged into certain projects across the business too. So we've built up and deployed dashboards, but what impact did they actually have? It's really important that you take time to measure these things. So let's have a look at some of the key results that we found after going through this journey. Let's take a look at some of the results. So within weeks of rolling out these reports, the results definitely started to show. Our forecasting accuracy improved dramatically. Leadership could then see trends early on, and we could plan then with confidence. Our marketing teams were then able to justify spends with kind of clear ROI metrics, so why we should be investing in certain campaigns over others. That all trickled through, of course, into the sales reporting, so which used to take days could then be done really, really quickly. Looking at that individual team performance could be done in real time on the fly without having to manually export and pull off reports into Excel and so on. And of course, we had things like the skills and the timesheet dashboards that really helped improve the team utilization. So some of the reports that we have over here on the slide really go to show actually the results of what implementing Power BI and giving you that insight into the business can achieve. So our lead quality increased, so by 37%, which is fantastic. Of course, looking at our process and deciding on lead sources that perhaps weren't delivering meant that we were able to address those, look to cut out some of the spam and the junk that were coming through, and look to target the right audience. So we were able to cut out what we didn't want and therefore increase the quality of our leads coming through. With regards to that resource allocation and utilization, timesheet completion was, of course, at 100%. We built in reminders to our development team, to our workforce, to ensure that they were completing their timesheets. That means that we were able to gather that data and start looking at things like capacity, which, of course, you can see increased by 9% there. So really, really great to be able to have a better understanding of how long certain development tasks take, look at where the time was being spent, and actually how we could increase the capacity of the team without increasing numbers within the team as well. So 9% increase there was fantastic. And of course, looking at things like cost, like profitability, we saw an increase in that as well. So we were able to look at perhaps where we were spending quite a bit of money, perhaps with regards to marketing campaigns, and looked at reducing that expense to other types of work that were proving more profitable as well. So some really kind of key highlights there from what we were able to achieve, and certainly by implementing Power BI, this all helped as part of the journey that we've been on. Really, really valuable insights. And one of the biggest lessons learned was the importance of adoption, getting people comfortable with the dashboards on a day-to-day basis. Certainly, that's what I look to do within my team. We look at those dashboards every single week. We support each other if we've got any questions on them. We question the data. If something doesn't quite look right and it needs interrogation, then absolutely, it's certainly worth continuing to evolve those dashboards and those reports that you have. And one of the biggest takeaways as well is that actually it's not just a case of deploying Power BI reports and then that's it done. Your reports will continue to evolve. So reporting is certainly a journey. It's not that one-off project. You'll see even some examples that we've been through today whereby you ask why of the data. So why have the sales gone up? Why have the development team or the project team suddenly shot up in terms of their utilization, or why has it potentially gone down? So you have new questions to ask as you look into these reports, which can inspire new reports, and certainly you want that for deeper insights. Of course, you want to avoid analysis paralysis. You don't want to spend all your time going more granular and granular and granular, but Power BI can certainly give you that capability to explore the key themes across that data. So we've implemented additional reports, of course, as well, based on what we've learned along the way. We've now started implementing things like the time it takes to win deals, as an example, and that can improve our forecasting as well. So every insight is giving you smart decisions across the business, and you can start to improve other metrics based on those high-level reports, breaking them down a little bit more granularly, and getting that information out that you're looking for. To recap today's journey, we looked at the challenges of disconnected data, the goals that define success, the solutions built within Power BI, and the results that transform decision making for us. If you'd like to explore what this could look like for your own organization, we're offering a free 1 hour consultation. That's going to include personalized demonstrations, a Q&A session, and really just give you that platform to ask anything of us. We're certainly always happy to help and help map out and define requirements. It's your chance to see your data through a new lens and identify quick wins for your organization. So absolutely, we're more than happy to facilitate that. Following that, the free consultation, our usual approach is then to move over to one of our workshops. We make no secret of it. This is usually a paid-for exercise, but it's a chance for us to align really tightly to your requirements, give you a report of our recommendations that will give you a fixed cost for what you're looking for, and then from there you can treat that as a shopping list of options. Absolutely, kind of no commitment there to go on. However, our workshops are really valuable, so absolutely we're more than happy to help. So do just click on the link in the chat for that. One of our experts will get in touch with you. And thanks again for joining today. Hope you found this session valuable. I hope it gave you good insight into the art of the possible within Power BI. Appreciate some of the reports on there. They're only just examples of what you can achieve, but the main takeaway is that you can pull your data really from anywhere that you want, whether it's within your 365 environment or outside of it. You can look to present that data in any of the different graphs or charts that we've seen, whether they're bar charts, bar charts, line charts, pie charts, however you want to go ahead and report on that data. And yeah, we look forward to helping you turn your data, your information into decisions that will help benefit your organization. So thanks again for joining.